Rod Fleming here in the Philippines, and I've been asked by a viewer to have a look at the potential correlation between autism and autogynephilia. Right, now just to recap quickly, autogynephilia is a man's propensity to be aroused at the thought or image of himself as a woman. It is the cause of all non-homosexual male gender dysphoria in Blanchard theory, which holds up. Most autogynephiles in the West tend to present in middle age, although there is an increasing tendency today for them to appear in adolescence. What seems to have been happening is that because of social intolerance in previous times, they would have hidden their autogynephilia and their practices, what they did. Now they're quite open about coming out much sooner, and so they do. However, does that a relationship to autism? Now, autism, right, is a complex. I'll put my specs on. I'll need them here. Autism is a complex neurobehavioral condition that includes impairments in social interaction and developmental language and communication skills, combined with rigid repetitive behaviours. Because of the range of symptoms, this condition is now called autism spectrum disorder. It covers a large spectrum of symptoms, skills and levels of impairment. It can range from almost no impairment, just a slight handicap, to basically you're going to need to be institutionalised. You can't live on your own. Now, that does not immediately sound very much like autogynephilia. However, a friend of mine whose site you should have bookmarked, just like you should have mine bookmarked, is Kebra, and she has looked, just a couple of months ago, she did a piece looking at a number of issues on this, and she says more studies show that there's a higher than expected by random chance of comorbidity of gender dysphoria and autism spectrum disorders. Seems to be true for both FTM and MTF. It may be more likely in so-called non-homosexual individuals, which is in males is autogynephilic ones, and the question not yet answered is whether this is an independent path to gender dysphoria or is comorbid with autogynephilia and autoandrophilia, which is putatively the female form of non-homosexual gender dysphoria. She quotes then two studies, one of which suggests that 23.1% of patients out of a sample of 39 presenting with gender dysphoria had possible, very likely, Asperger syndrome as measured by the Asperger scale. Okay, and then from a study by Pastersky, she says this examined the co-occurrence of gender dysphoria and autistic traits in an adult population to see whether this heightened prevalence persisted from childhood, as well as to provide further comparison of MTF versus FTM versus non-homosexual individuals. The problems with this were, first of all, that it was too small, but it does note that Kay Brown notes that all 5 who scored positive for autism, although this was a small subject, a small study, were actually non-homosexual, right? So these were definitely AGP. Now, that does suggest a heightened correlation, but correlation does not imply causation. There's nothing there that would suggest necessarily a causative link between autism or ASD, autism spectrum disorder, and autogynephilia. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, it might well exist. What I'm saying is that these studies don't really demonstrate that. Autism or ASD is likely to be caught or to be noted earlier than autogynephilia. As I said, autogynephilia, classically in the West, it only appeared in middle age. Today we know that it can appear much earlier. The DSM, I think, has it possibly exhibiting as young as age 9 or 10. That's very, very young for an autogynephile. But someone with autism or ASD is going to show before that. But again, this idea of sequence, that one happens before the others, doesn't actually mean that they're a causative relationship between one and the other. It's just that one always happens later than the other. And so if you're going to have both, one is going to appear later than the other. And it's not because you have one that you have the other. There are a number of things about that are typical of ASD that do make me question this whole thing. The first of, and most important one, is that people with autism or ASD tend to have difficulty in expressing themselves in linguistic manners that are comprehensible to other people, and they don't understand what other people don't understand them. And the way they conceptualize the world is very different from the people around them, and this is a part of the difficulty of communication with someone who has autism. I don't know if you remember, many years ago, Dustin Hoffman made a film called Rain Man with Tom Cruise, and it was a very nice little movie. It was very studied because Dustin Hoffman is a method actor, you know, and it was really like, this is what it's like. It's not all people with autism would be like that, but you know, he made a pretty good fist of it. And you could see that he was just seeing the world in a totally different way from the way that everybody else did, which in this particular case, allowed him to wrap a story out about how he managed to break the casino, and you know, because he got a fantastic memory. This is something, by the way, that people with ASD often do have, is very heightened skills in specific areas. Now, the standard literature on autogynephilia suggests they tend to be somewhat more intelligent than the average for their ethnicity, but I've not seen anything that suggests that they would have this really radically different way of doing things or of seeing the world. That seems to me something different. I've not ever known that. I think that where autogynephiles have difficulty in relating, it's because there are actually two people, or two personalities, inside an autogynephile's psyche, one of which is the male host, and the other of which is a pseudo-feminine invented character. And of course that causes a great deal of problems, because the people around that person don't really know who they're talking to. You know, are you talking to the man or are you talking to the woman? It's not the same person. You know, I mean, I know this is the sort of thing that people don't, like you can't call that because it sounds like schizophrenia. It's not schizophrenia. It's genuinely two different personalities. And both of these are capable of showing gender dysphoria. The male personality will show gender dysphoria if it's obliged to appear as a woman. And the female personality, which is invented, will show strong gender dysphoria if it's obliged to appear as a man. So there's this tremendous conflict going on inside an AGP's head all the time. And that is why those AGPs who manage to contain it tend to do that by doing things that keeps both halves satisfied. You know, for example, the famous example is you're perhaps wearing women's underwear under a business suit, because that keeps the woman's side happy. She's going, okay, fine, I've got my frilly knickers on, you know, it's all right, everything's fine. Whereas the man, the male host character, is able to deal with the world around him in a reasonable, practical way without causing any trouble. Get on with life in his job, you know, do his job, relate to the others as a man, and maybe when he gets home, the first thing he does is, you know, put on a dress. It doesn't matter, because he's got the business of getting the day through out of the way, you know. Because managing autogynephilia is very difficult. It's certainly true that managing autism is also very difficult, but it's not the same. So what we seem to be looking at is, the answer to the question is, yeah, there's a correlation. There is a heightened likelihood that persons with ASD may also later show autogynephilia. That doesn't imply causation. It just doesn't. It does look, on the evidence that I'm looking at, it looks much more like it's just a correlation. It's just, you know. Now, they say it's more than would be by pure chance, but that doesn't allow for the fact that the person, we already know that autogynephilia often is comorbid with other disorders, and we know that autism is comorbid with other disorders. So you have a propensity towards having disorders, whether you're autogynephilic or autistic, and that's enough to make up for a small statistical anomaly like that. It just doesn't imply causation. I'm not at all persuaded, sorry, that you can just say, oh yeah, that person is autogynephilic because he's autistic. Or what might well happen is that you have someone who is both, not causative. Or at least the idea of causation does not appear to me to be proven. Okay?